I've just discovered something fundamental, that I believe this hole at the top should be connected to this one, and then this hole will sit just off it, and this plate becomes flipped, and then the geometry works out correct for the spacing. The way it comes from the factory is 187 to a closed of 161, which is a bit strange. And now we look at the geometry motion. When we look at the range of motion here, we can see it goes up, and then at this point here, if we look up here, it starts to go down and we get like a weird motion there. Just doesn't seem right. Now when we compare it to the flipped one of this is being flipped, it's 195 open and 166 closed, and we look at the motion movement now. We can see the range of motion. It's a nice clean linear movement. Doesn't look so crazy. Looking a lot cleaner. If we look at our shock specs, the standard shock is sitting a good 198.99 I measured, and then in the closed state when I compressed it was 151, but this is inside to inside, so we've got to add 12 to that, so that brings it to 164, and we're seeing 166 here, so these numbers are sitting a lot cleaner with what it should all be. Got the linkages off. Now we just got to move the default position is the high one. We're going to move it across one. So we're going to put it into this one. We'll do the same on this end. Now comes the important part. We want to put it so the double holes are connecting like this. Low hole to the bottom thing. Orientation for these I don't think matters so much, as long as there's enough shock clearance. So let's give this a shot, get this installed, put it in there. So I've got them installed, and we can see the shock is sitting a bit lower, because from that previous thing, the shock is sitting pre-compressed about 10 mil. So if I put this on a bit of a faster rebound. Looking at our spreadsheet, the whole eye to eye, when it was in the stock configuration, it's 187, and we know our shock's 198. So the shock is coming pre-compressed at 10 mil. And I should be able to pull the shock out a few mil to bring it up in alignment. That's about in alignment now. But I'm going to leave this one out. I just want to see the range of motion first. So I'm going to connect up these bottom ones. So I have this installed now. So we can see we've got, that's the orientation. So eye to eye is 198, and then when it will be closed, it'll be like 162 if I was correct. So straight away I notice it collides with this, so let's take this off. The second collision point is this frame, so let's take this frame off. With that seat frame off, we can see the motion here is pretty clean. You can see that shock. Okay, I like that. I'm going to connect the shock now. Just added a tiny bit of air into the shock, and the bolt fits in alignment perfectly. Let's assemble. This is 150 psi. Yeah, so there's no collisions here, there's no collisions here. Everything looks good. And we've got the full motion of the shock. Very interesting.